Hi, everybody. So tonight's call, we're going to be talking about how to earn $200 an hour. And I wanted to teach this class tonight because this is how I started. If you do not know me, I'm a platinum leader from North Carolina. And I grew making probably $200 at a time. And, maybe $100 at a time, maybe $300 at a time, but it was something along there. So what I want you guys to be thinking about while I'm talking about these different things is we have a lot of kits right now that you get a $50 bonus for. So that's what I focus on. Even when Young Living was very gracious and said, hey, you can join with anything. I think that opened a lot of doors. But for me, from a financial standpoint, I push the starter kits because I make the $50 and people are getting such a good deal on those starter kits. So if somebody wants something customized, I definitely do that and I let them know their options. But I have taught the kits since day one. So those of you who were on early saw, some of my numbers from when we first started, and I wanted to tell you what happened. So I signed up March 13th-ish in 2015, and I did not want to do the business. 0% want to do the business, told my enroller I didn't want to do the business. I asked not to be added to any groups, was very anti-MLM, and I had all the yucky feelings about it. I didn't even like that I was ordering from an MLM, but these were the products that I needed to get. So I was going to not be stubborn about that. So I ordered my kit and I made a post on Facebook that was just really honest because whatever, I was sharing our life story on there. And I was like, I ordered these essential oils. Does anyone have any tips? Because I didn't know what I was doing, but I didn't want to be added to the groups, which was very dumb, but I didn't know. And I had several people say, where did you get your oils? I've been looking into getting some too. And I was just like, I'll get you a link. And I messaged my enroller and I said, hey, I have some friends that might want to use your link. And she was like, absolutely not. They need to use yours. And I told her I didn't want to do the business. And she said, I didn't have to, but, and I want you guys to pay attention to this language. As a customer who didn't want to be a brand partner, I came to her and I said, I don't want to do the business here. Take this referral. And she said, no, I want to help you get the cost of your kit back. Don't have to do the business, but I want to help you get the cost of your kit back. I have had easily hundreds of enrollments from telling members of our team, let's just get the cost of your kit back. Or let's just cover your Essential Rewards order, okay? Keep in mind, when we're selling these starter kits, that's 3 kits. So I had enough people that came to me that said, hey, what was that all about? Or blah, blah, blah. And then when it came, I posted the most ghetto image ever of it was literally, and I'll find it at some point, but I think this is important. I'm not rambling. It was sugar melted to the bottom of a mason jar with nasty watery coconut oil piled on top and a citrus fresh next to it. And I was like, homemade scrub. No one would buy that from the store, but people were like, oh, how did you make that? And so really I was just sharing my process. Before the month ended, I had 3 people use my link. And I guess someone added something else because I made $156 that month. And when the check came, I was very surprised because I got my money back, completely got my money back, just like she said, without feeling salesy. In April, because remember I signed up in March, because of my really ghetto fab picture, I had some people go, oh, what else can you make? And I was like, well, I don't know, but if you want to come over, we can learn how to make this stuff together. 0% expert. And that month I made $800. So I really want you guys to be understanding these numbers. Society teaches us to look at money $20 is a 10-hour workday, or $20 an hour at a 10-hour workday is $200. The way that I want you guys to look at it is 4 kit sales at $50 each is $200. I am very focused on how can I increase my check. So again, if you don't know this, which I know most of you do, in 2018, my daughter had brain surgery and my husband took the year off, and I would focus on, okay, I have to make more money. How can I increase my paycheck? And it wasn't just, okay, let's look for, these are bread and butter your business, subscribe to save, but I wasn't only checking in on Miss DR. I wasn't only doing certain things. I was going, okay, well, I have to make X amount of money this month. How can I make more money? So with the way that the kits are, the starter kits are right now, the specific ones, so make sure you're looking at $50 each, 4 of them is $200. Okay. There is no cap on the amount of sales you can make. There is a cap on the amount of hours you can work. So if you are working an hourly job, you cap yourself out. But if you are working a sales job where you're getting commissions, you can, which is what we do, you can give yourself the opportunity for no cap. All right. So what did I do? Month after month after month for the first several years, probably 2 or 3 years, I sat in living rooms and I taught the starter kit. It was not pretty. A lot of times I had a notebook, like I printed out, this is like almost embarrassing. Lindsay Grammont had a script that she like was really, really good. It was very, very, very detailed. Now I'm like, why did anyone even listen to me? And I printed it out in a binder and I put them in protector sheets and I sat there and I read the script. And those are the first few months you guys are, and the kids, the orders were coming in. I'm sure some people were bored. And so now that's not how I teach anymore. But what I did is I had the starter kit set up, or whatever kit I was teaching. And as I talked about the oils, I passed them around. So when I talked about lavender, people were smelling it and it gave me a good minute or 2 to say, this is why it's special. This is how I use it. And then another one went around, and it really didn't take that long. The things that I covered were how I got started, because I really wanted people to connect with me. Why Young Living, and then how to diffuse, the different ways to use oils, which took me about 2 minutes. And then every oil in the starter kit, and just went around. The other thing that I really drilled in was the samples. Ningxia Red was a sample at the time. We didn't have the hand sanitizer, and I can't remember what else we had. But we had other stuff, and I went and I passed them around, and I did a brief thing. So if you're doing like 2 minutes on each product that you're passing around, that's a 45-minute class. And I'm including like a minute or 2 on Seed to Seal, a minute or 2 on my story, and like really, really tried to keep it to 45 minutes. Some classes, people had a million questions and it went very, very long. But if they have questions, I'm not going to be like, excuse me, ma'am, I'm stuck on 45 minutes. That was more engagement. And then some classes, no one said anything and I thought everyone hated it, and I just breezed right through. But then people were still signing up. So what I had is I had a computer, no matter the size of my class. I had done classes where I invited 30 people and 18 showed up, and I had classes where I invited 10 people and 2 showed up. It really, really just depends. But I had a computer up at every single class, and I had a handout that had a visual. So they were writing notes while I was talking about the different oils. And I had the computer, and I said, if you're ready to sign up today, this is how we're going to check out. The website's already pulled up. You can just walk right up and do it. If you do sign up today, I have a goodie bag for you to take home for free. Don't remember what was in it. I'm pretty sure it was really, really, really ghetto. And it was like sugar, or like in like a mason jar. It was really terrible. So like, do not feel like you need to lavish like things. Sometimes they didn't have gifts, but like, I think one of them was a dollar store spray bottle that they could add water and like lavender to. It was like neon green, and it was the whole thing. So I spent like $3 on my starter kit or on my like gifts. So do not feel like you need to do these big glamorous things. I didn't have buffets at my classes. I had water and the starter kit. Sometimes when people hosted, they did really beautiful things and everyone had a really good time. I did not see a difference in signups on whether it was really fancy or whether it wasn't. I think the connection to the person is the most important thing. The other thing that we had, and this was a little bit later, but the promos. So, and I know she's not on here, but Kelsey Lewis was so good at this. And she would have all the promos out and she would say something along the lines of, okay, so since your starter kit's 100 PV, you're also going to be getting this for free. And then she would teach on that like it was in the class. And she said, if you wait till next month, I don't know what it's going to be. It's definitely not going to be this. And then when people wanted that 100 PV promo, they were like, oh, wait, I get that for free? How much? How do I add it to my cart? And then you say, when you do subscribe to save, and you explain it. It was so natural to just say, these are all the things that are available for free this month. And it just made sense, you know, because then everyone's sitting there going, well, I mean, if I'm going to order, I mean, I might as well get that for free. And then we would say, which is something I still do with my personal enrollments, is go, is it okay if I check in with you next month to help you plan your next subscribe to save order? Then again, we get to show the promos. Some people were like, I don't know what I'm doing. I want to get off subscribe save. That's fine. You know, we were like, okay, that's totally great. Which oils aren't you using? And then we get to keep going that way. But if someone's, you know, spent their money with us and we're checking in, we were really, really available. And for several reasons, I think that you need to make yourself available. One, they're still in fast start. So you're getting 25% of whatever they order. Two, Rachel Rhodes says this all the time, but like date your members. And like, that really drilled into my head. Like these people trusted me. There's like 6 million other people they could have signed up with and they picked me, or they picked to be on my team. So I'm going to be one. If I'm going to be paid on them, I'm going to be the one. So at the starter kit classes, we had the promos and walked through. And then the following month, we were able to say, you know, we told you they're going to be different every month. These are this month's. This is what you get for 100. This is what you get, you know, so on and so forth. And they already knew all about it because they were in that class. I will say, and because I want this to be super clear, there's a difference between doing a presentation and advertising. So I want to talk about that because I think there's a lot of people who are sitting here and watching me and going, well, my people wouldn't show up. Okay. One, that's an assumption. You don't really know. Two, a lot of people are thinking, well, I'm telling people when there's a sale. That's great. And people do need to know when there's a sale because there are going to be a lot of people who pull the trigger with that. But that's advertising. If you get on your social media or something like that and you say, here's a sale, these are the promos, that's advertising. That is not presenting a product. And I want you to think about it this way. If you're driving down a highway and you see a Ford dealership, and that Ford dealership convinced you to buy a Ford, you probably aren't going to pay that much attention to where the Ford dealer, who's put that up. All you're going to click is I want a Ford. So as people go through, they're not ready to pull the trigger. They might not go, okay, I remember Chelsea was the one who convinced me. They might have 5 or 6 other people on their Facebook or Instagram that also sell Young Living. And we need to give them a reason with our presentation to pick us instead of pick Young Living. Okay. We want them to pick Young Living, but the bottom line is we want them to pick Young Living with us. So this is what I consider a presentation. Number one, people need to know what they're buying. Okay. Not just here, you're buying oils and shoving you off. This is why handing the oils around and having diffuser options out is really, really great for me. Number two, so they need to know what they're buying. Number two, they need to know how to order. I cannot tell you how many classes I had that I was like, man, I really thought she was going to order. And she didn't. Whoever she is, she didn't order. And I was like, come home playing to Joe. I'm like, I really thought she was going to order. She asked 900 questions. She didn't even order. And then she orders that night, or she orders the next day, or she orders a month later, or she orders, I have still am getting enrollments from classes I did 5 years ago. So they need to know how to order because you cannot be the end all be all. They don't order on the spot. They still have to know how to order from you. So that is part of your presentation is how to order. They need to know the cost. I am not apologetic about Young Living's cost. I was in the beginning and I sort of slid it in. These products are worth every penny, and the starter kits are majorly discounted. So if I'm standing up there and going, these products are majorly discounted when you buy it this way, this is why I'm giving you this option, people are going to believe you, especially if you're knowledgeable and you've just taught a class. The numbers are there too. I've on my kit or paper I used to have, I had, this is how much it is if you buy it retail. This is how much it if you buy it this way. And when people say $400, oh, just kidding, it's only $160. That is really refreshing. It is a little much if you go, if they're like, don't have any idea. Like if they don't know if it's going to be $2 each or they're totally new to oils, and then you just throw the 160. So I do like that visual. I think it was a big selling point. So the reason I'm saying cost is part of your presentation is you don't want them to see the sticker shock at checkout and change their mind. When they've already decided, okay, they're having that kind of, I mean, not everybody does it. Some people are like, that's the best deal ever and all that. But I mean, I was just like, whatever, I need this. So here we go. But if you tell them the cost while you're still conversing with them and they're seeing other people sign up, or they're seeing other people be like, that's not expensive. Or what a good deal. I love those ladies in the audience who are yelling out, what a good deal. I'm like, yeah, that's going to really ease their mind too, is because it is all relative. You're getting, that's all. The other thing is they need to know how to reorder. Okay. We are not, we don't want to do a one-night stand with these customers. We want them to reorder over and over. In our presentation, we've talked to them about Subscribe to Save. We've very organically introduced that because we showed them what they were going to get when they ordered a starter kit at 100 PV if they did it with Subscribe to Save. So they need to know how to reorder. And that's really key. And this also is part of the follow-up, is it okay if I check in with you next month? Make sure you're using your oils right and help you plan your next Subscribe to Save order. Our Subscribe to Save percentages when we were doing classes this way were very high. And I think a lot of it is we were saying, buy this kit on Subscribe to Save and also get this. And no one, like almost no one was like, and then, well, can I cancel anytime? Yes. Then they get the kit. You're following up before their next order and you're helping them. So they're not lost and they trust you. Okay. So the difference between a presentation and an advertisement is, and I said this, but an advertisement is that you're convincing them to get Young Living, and a presentation is convincing them to get it from you. So really key. Again, I'm saying, this is how we're getting these people to sign up. This is what my presentation looks like, but you have got to be inviting. You have got to, and I'm not even going to apologize for this. You got to get over it. You just it sucks. It sucks for everyone. Like with the first several times, it sucks for everyone. No one was like, I love inviting people to my house my very first time and trying to sell them something. Love it. Like no one's like that. So you can be very strategic about it. I lived and I think this is important. Joe's hometown, which was very, very, very small. There's one stoplight that turned to a yellow blinking light at like 8 p.m. And it was very anti-MLM, like super anti-MLM. And I think the reason that it worked for me there was because I was like, let's do something together and not let me sell you something. And that's super, super key. Like, let's make something. And a lot of times that's how people get people in the door. Hey guys. And I 100% recommend this. I was going to do this at the end, but I want to do it now because it makes sense. Put something up on your Facebook or your Instagram or something like that and say, hey, I am learning how to make soap with my essential oils next month. Who wants to come over and make it with me? And we can learn how to do this together. Most of the time, someone is going to be like, me, I want to do that. Or pick something that's organic to you. I'm going to learn how to do a succulent. Let's do it together. I'm going to learn how to do whatever. But you're inviting people to be part of the process and then going, these are my essential oils, and they'll have questions. And then you can say, why don't we do an essential oil 101? And then, you're inviting them over. And once I had enough people that were interested and engaged, when I offered to do a 101, a lot of people came. I'm comfortable just blasting, let's do a 101 and, you know, hoping people want to show up. But if that's like really, really something you're just not going to do, I definitely invite people in. I definitely recommend inviting people into your lifestyle, hands-on, and then saying, you know, it would make a lot more sense, or do a brief 101 while you're doing it. I really also want everybody to refocus on goals. And I know if you're on my team, I very briefly talked about this. But if your goal is, I want to make $200 this month, I don't want you to say, okay, I'm going to enroll 4 people with starter kits. What I want you to do is make an action plan goal. So to say, I'm going to do my presentation in front of 8 people this month, because you know your end goal is 4 signups. So, you know, if you just say, I want 4 signups, that's my goal. Oh, I didn't meet my goal. Well, what did you do? Like, and you have to break it down into, you have to break your goals down into something people can do. It's very discouraging. And I've done it. I think I've made OGV goals and wrinkles and blah, blah, blah. And so time after time after time is we need a small goal that we can do now. And it can be, your goal for the week could be figuring out how you want to invite people to an Essential Oil 101. And that might be harder for you. Maybe go in the groups, go and Gather and Grow, go in whatever business group you're most active in and go, okay, I'm ready. How did you invite? Ask. We're not just saying to like blast something, get advice, make it your own. Like you don't have to do what I did. But to get these $200 we're talking about, you have got to do your presentation in front of people. They've got to know what to order, how much it costs, who to order it from, and how to reorder. And for me, if I put things on the internet, nobody cares. But if I invite people to do things with me, they do. And you might be different. You know, it might be different for you. So your presentation for the Essential Oil 101 for these kits that you're going to get $50 for might look like, and I've done this so many times, let's do a Zoom. Someone has had a question, do a Zoom. Look through, and I had one of my really good builders do this. I said this to her today, but I was like, write down every single person you've invited to a class, and then we're going to follow up with them. It doesn't have to be a brand new person. It can be someone you've helped before, but you can Zoom with these people and say, hey, you know, I know you have, and I totally Fortune's in the follow-up 100%. And I've totally done this where I'm like, hey, you came to the class. Did you have any more questions? Like, would it be okay if I called you and, you know, we chatted about your questions? I'm so much better on the phone than I am on text or something like that. And then we'd set up a time. And then if they're like, no, which has totally happened, then you know that person's probably not going to order from you. But it's not out of nowhere because they've either come to your class, said they wanted to come to your class. If they've already asked questions to you, you're not cold messaging them. It's very different. Don't be messaging your Aunt Kiki and being like, hey girl, can I call you about oils? Like, that's not what this is. But so make a list of people you've actually spoken to and have actually seemed interested in. That's your follow-up list. That's your message list. Those are the people that you can be helping get starter kits and get $50. So if you write 10 names down on that list and you can help 4 sign up with one of these kits, there is your $200. So it doesn't all have to be, you know, come here, figure out what works for you. But I cannot drill this in enough. If it's not working, it doesn't mean the business model doesn't work. It means what you're doing isn't coming across. I can enroll an entire room with a 101. I have enrolled maybe 3 people on Instagram, and it just doesn't come across that way for me. Other people bomb on Instagram. I know one of our people today, she did an Essential Oil 101 on Instagram. If that's going to work for you, you can invite your prospect list to watch. Just say, hey, I'm going to do a Facebook Live or an Instagram Live at 9 p.m. on Thursday. I know you've been interested before. I would love for you to watch and let me know if you have any questions. They'll reply or not, whatever. And you can say, if they reply, is it okay if I follow up with you after? I like to ask permission. So then people feel like, it's more of a conversation and I'm not bombarding them. So your presentation, it might look different than mine, but don't stick to the same presentation or advertising. I really want you guys to look inward and go, okay, am I presenting or am I advertising? But if your presentation isn't working, do something else. And another huge thing that we did, and then I'll start rambling. It's probably like 11 o'clock and we're rambling forever. But what we did is I teach, we teach, you teach. And what I would do is I would teach a class, and let's say Tracy enrolled. I would say, Tracy, let's help you get your money back from your kit. Why don't you invite some of your friends to your house? I will come teach, and they use your link to enroll. So many of my builders came from that. People who were like, I don't want to do the business, but I don't mind getting my $50 back, because they or $100, $50 back, because they just watched a class and they knew that I knew what I was doing and they enjoyed it. They enrolled. So they think, well, maybe I can get it. There is awe in the room when I present. And I'll say sometimes, depending on how big the class is, if you're interested, I will come teach a class for you. And I would say this to everybody. And you would get $50 per person who signs up. People love, like, people go, oh, and like, because I mean, that's a huge percentage. They know they're spending $160. So for me to be getting $50, huge percentage. So if Tracy agreed to do a class, I would do one for her. And then if she wanted to do another one, I would say, okay, but we're going to do this one together. And then the third time, Tracy would be able to do it by herself. I am completely 100% team teach for customers, give them incentives, because I don't know the same people they know. So if Tracy invited her friends, I wouldn't know them, but I would still be able to get, since I enrolled Tracy, I would get 10% fast start. Tracy would get her money back. And I said this way at the beginning, but another thing we would do was say, I would be able to say, Tracy, I'm having a class on May 24th at my house. Feel free to bring some friends. Let's see if we can get your ER covered for you. And then, I mean, I had people who never said a word, never taught a class, never did anything. They would bring people, and then they grew a team that way. They weren't comfortable teaching, unless I was there, but they would bring people to the community classes. Why do you think we are always like, guys, tell people about your classes, tell me about your classes, tell me about your classes, even just the virtual ones? Because you never know where your diamond is hiding, or your silver, or anything like that. It might not be someone you know, but it could be someone who knows someone who knows someone a million times down. But we would still be paid on them. So sort of in a recap, I really love the starter kits. I'm not saying don't do any of the other stuff, but the starter kits are where you're really going to see the fruit. I definitely recommend going and giving them feedback and saying, hello, thank you for bringing back the $50 starter kit. Can you please keep it? I think that would be really, really, really good for them to hear. That's what we want. And think about how many people you're actually presenting to, not advertising to, but presenting to, and goals with action steps instead of like final goals. So I hope that was helpful. I do want to encourage you guys not to, I taught only the starter kit for the first 2 years and got to silver. Let's see, I signed up in March. I was executive by July, and I was silver by October, and maintained. I also want to say, and I'm not saying this to be big headed, but I think people are probably wondering, I've never had a placement under me. I'm too far down from my active builders. It would not have made sense for them to place under me. I wouldn't have placed under me if I were them. I'm just too deep. So these, a lot of you guys saw my results, and it really is just consistency and what I said about presenting. They knew what I was buying. They knew how much it was. They, et cetera, et cetera. So I really want to encourage you guys to take some risks. And I really do think it's going to pay off. I did teach classes that no one came. So all I did was I turned my camera around, I recorded it, and then I was like, hey, sorry you missed the class, but we recorded it if you want to miss it. And I made it I literally stood up in front and was like, blah, 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 and pretended I was talking to people. And then I sent it to everyone who said they were coming and didn't come. But there is no cap, but you do have to put in the work. And there's kind of no way around that. So I really hope this was helpful. Feel free to, ask questions. I do really, 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 really encourage you guys, practice your presentation also. I definitely was like, hey mom, can I practice this in front of you? And she was like, yeah, sure. And then, she got a kit. Or, if you have an aunt or somebody who isn't a member yet, ask if you say, hey, could you do me a favor? Like, this is really important to me. Is it okay if I practice my presentation on you? Pick someone who's like going to be honest, but like not ugly. And you'd be surprised how many people get signups by practicing on a non-member. So I hope that was good. I'm going to be quiet now.
Chelsea, I think we could listen to you all night long. That was amazing. Thank you so much for that. And for anybody who's watching the replay and maybe didn't see in our chat, we do have sort of a Dropbox, a team Dropbox, where we've got class scripts with the premium starter bundle, right? Like you could literally print it out and it's been streamlined. So it's only like 2 or 3 pages, not like the 10 pages that we originally had. Do you remember that from the beginning? And it's bullet points, right? So very easy to follow along. So if you would like to access that, just go to gatherdwell.com and then you'll see there's a Dropbox link there and you can go ahead and click that and access all of that. We also have, even in our team Gather and Dwell YouTube channel, like you could even see how we've taught classes in the past. So again, gatherdwell.com, you'll be able to see the Dropbox, the YouTube channel links, everything is right there, but it's fantastic. And I just wanted to add 100% to what Chelsea said, like, yes, to all of it, check mark, but in particular, having a script. So I enroll primarily online. I blog, so probably not going to be the typical experience for most of you. But what I will say is it would have been easy for me to say, I only do this online. I'm not going to do it in person. But I started off at square one in person as well. And you'll find that a lot of influencers and bloggers it's not that we don't necessarily like the in-person. I am not as extroverted, right? So these were skills that I had to learn. Like I can do it now, no problem. But in the beginning, I remember it like sweating bullets, like, oh my gosh, how am I going to teach this class? And you know what? It was like comfort and confidence in having the script. Because if I got nervous, I can just glance at the script and kind of keep me following along. So we're going to follow this thing and read it word for word and not engage with people. We want to engage, but if you need something to give you that confidence so that you can follow along and hit up all the main points, that's what that script is there for. And you could use that script for an in-person class, a Zoom class, a Facebook class, an Instagram class. Like you could really use it for anything. But there's something really special, like what Chelsea was saying, about being in person and passing the oils around. But I started off at square one teaching classes in person. It was definitely not my wheelhouse. It was not my strength. And I will tell you, the first class that I ever taught, I did not make $200 because I didn't close. And so I love what Chelsea said in that, if something's not working, it doesn't mean the entire thing doesn't work. Like take a step back and go, what could I have done differently? And for me, I didn't close. Let me tell you what happened. I taught the class. It was awesome. Everybody was engaged and they go, how do I order? And I was like, I don't know. I think you just go to youngliving.com. Like that's how green I was. I didn't even give them my link. I would have signed up the entire 10-person class. Everybody would have signed up if I had just given them my link. But I was so nervous about the content that I didn't close. So let me just tell you, from that experience, I was like, oh, heck no, I'm closing every time. If I forget anything else, it will be, this is how you sign up. Let me show you how to do it. So it was a good learning experience for me. And then it was like, oh, this is how you do it. And so we just want to encourage you all, anybody can do this. Seriously. I have seen people who are extremely shy, right? Maybe are not comfortable in front of a crowd. This can work for anybody. This is not just for an extroverted type or people who are really comfortable around a crowd. This is for anybody. And if the thought of having 20 people in a crowd, in an audience, is going to scare you, why don't you start off with 2 or 3, right? We actually have some people who kill it just doing one-on-ones, right? So here's what I just want to add to that is, just be thinking of your time. You can make $200 in a day doing 4 one-on-ones. Now, granted, that's going to be 4 hours. For me, I'm like, no, we're going to do this in 1 hour. So we're going to have, 10 people, 1 hour, and typically right around half or so will sign up. So I'm like done, rather than me doing 10 one-on-ones. Now I will say for those who do one-on-ones, they often have an extremely high close rate. It'll be like 80%. I mean, we've got many people on our team. It's like 100% close every time. So it can be really worth it. In particular, if maybe someone is too busy to come to a class, the timing doesn't work, maybe they themselves are a bit more shy, but you can really make that work. And so I just wanted to share those things with you because I don't want you to think like all of us were like perfect coming out of the, coming on the scene, getting ready to do the business. Like it was like for me, hot mess express, but you learn from every class. And now we've done it so many times. It's like I don't need a script. It's like all in my head. And you know what? Not only do I not need a script, I can change it up and do different things. I could do women's hormones. I can do babies. I can do nutrition. I can do sleep. I can change everything up. And you will get that as you have more practice. And I love that Chelsea had shared that technique of invite people and say, hey, can I practice on you? I cannot tell you how many people on my team enrolled their first builders, their first customers, because they use that technique. So many people. So if you've not made your first 200 yet, I really hope to encourage you. You could do it this weekend. Go get that script, gatherdwell.com. Go get the script, invite people over. You could literally do it Saturday and have $200 in your pocket. You could do it. Anybody could do it.
I forgot something. I need to add something. So something else that's really, really priceless in any class is if you do have a member, I don't care if it's your mom, your sister, your best friend, whatever, and they can come to the living room, having someone when you're passing it around is to go, oh, I use it for this. Oh, I can back that up. Like I think having an audience member go, me too, and share a testimonial is, I bet I've sold half the kits that I sold for my classes because of that. It just is a lot of reinforcement. Like she's not full of it. And, so that's, I could go on and on about that too, but so if that's possible, do that. Have someone come. And you guys, it's the same with the Facebook groups. And I know my team is so sick and tired of me hearing this, but I'm going to do it anyway. You can on Facebook posts, on Zooms, you guys are in the comments, right now. Like if I was teaching a 101 and you guys were in the comments going, oh my God, I loved that. This was so good. Hey, can you share this? If I was new, I'd be like, what are all this? All these people are so excited. Facebook posts, Facebook classes, all these other things. You can still, even if it's just a post and it's not a class, you can be in the comments hyping it up and making it a really, really big deal. The other thing is, please don't push it off too far. I'm going to be super, super honest. Like I was not working when we first started, and my husband worked really weird hours, but I was doing 2 or 3 classes a month, and most of it was because I was like, I'm going to do one, and then people would say, I can't make it to that one, and then I would go, okay, I'm free this date. Can you do that? And I mean, my checks were, I was making a low silver, high executive check as a senior star because I was having so many classes and enrolling so well. I didn't have the legs yet, but I was having so many classes. I am not saying burn yourself out on classes. That is not what I'm saying. But I don't want to hear, Christmas is going to be a really good time to have a class, or like it's May. So what I want you to do is look at your schedule and see what date works, and then do that. And yeah, a lot of people aren't going to be able to go, but then you can say, hey, what date works for you? I'll see if I'm free then, etc. Don't push it back too far, because your results are not going to start until you start being consistent. I did my classes in and out the door. I came about 20 minutes before the class started. If I was teaching at someone else's house, I came about 20 minutes before. My class was about, with signups and the whole class and everything, in and out the door. For other people, were about an hour and 15 minutes, maybe an hour and a half. And then I would gather my stuff and leave. So I was gone in a little over 2 hours, door to door from my house in my town, twice a month. And so I was gone for about 4 hours a month and was making a low silver, very high executive check in 2 months. So it's not magic. I literally have just told you all of my tricks. It's being consistent, it's inviting, and, all those other things. So, I hope that empowers you and encourages you to like kind of grab it by the balls and go, because that's how you can do slow and steady. I love it. But I'm all about slow and steady, but if you really want to make $200 in a day, it might be your second or third class. So grab it and let's do it. Now I'm really done. I'm going to turn myself off.
That was so good. And you touched on something that I think everybody needs to know is really important is, as you're hearing Chelsea talk about how not only was she doing the enrollments, but of the people that she enrolled, she would teach them and offer to teach classes for them. You may not know this, but as part of the Fast Start bonus, right? Like you're earning commissions. Did you know this? You earn commissions off people that you enroll, they enroll. So let's say I enrolled Chelsea and she enrolled Allison. I make a commission off Allison because Chelsea enrolled her. So not only thinking about how are you making $200 based on your own enrollment on your own class that you're teaching, but you could be making additional money, right? Like you help someone on your team teach a class, right? That's really sort of like the importance of this business model is you're helping other people as well. So you're teaching, you can invite them so that they invite their people, but that's really where you're going to see, that's the duplication that you'll hear from us very often. You're teaching someone else how to do the exact same thing that you're doing. This is why we love to do these business calls, and everything that Chelsea had talked about, it's like that and duplicate, copy and paste, right? Again, that's why the scripts work. That's why the classes work. That's why we often teach the 101 class, because it works. So just wanting to give you guys lots of encouragement with that. And if you didn't already see it, in 2 weeks, I think it's the 17th, we're going to be teaching a Summertime Favorites 101. Look for the event. It should be coming very soon, but use that event. It's a public event, right? We're going to be teaching a class on Zoom. That's a classic example of we are going to teach a class for you. You invite, we teach. And just like Chelsea had said, right? Don't wait for us to teach a class for you. It's and, right? So invite people to the Summertime Faves class that we're teaching on Zoom on the 17th. And you could also be teaching a class, whether it's on social media, in person, a one-on-one, on Zoom. Thank you so much, Allison. That's the link in the comments. For those of you watching the replay, we'll make sure to include a link there as well. How easy is this? Right? You're not having to teach this class. We teach it for you. We're going to teach the kit. You're going to earn the $50. So don't just invite 4 people, right? Go invite people, go invite more people, make more than $200. What if you can make 300, 500, 1,000? You could be doing that. Invite your people. But one thing that I want to say, it's a Facebook event that you invite people to. Don't just passively invite people to a Facebook event. You need to text them, reach out to them, go, hey, I was thinking about you. Summer's coming up. I know you wanted to learn about a bug spray. We're going to be covering that, right? Or I know you wanted to learn about how to take care of your skin when you spend too much time in the sun because the kiddos maybe did that last summer. You need to come to this class. So do the personal invite, okay? Inviting people passively, right, on that Facebook event doesn't count. So get out there and really engage with people. Chelsea, did you want to add to that?
Yes, sorry. Okay, the other thing, and she touched on this really briefly, but if I wanted to teach a class, a summer class, I could schedule one. I'm making up the date because I forget what date it is, the 17th. Don't listen to me because I just said a date. If hers is the 17th, I could schedule one in person for the 24th and watch hers. You can watch the classes over and over and over, and then just go duplicate it in your own way at home. I have done that where I wanted to teach something kind of complicated to my team. Well, yeah. And so I just watched a video 4 times and then I regurgitated the information that I learned. You can totally do that. Also, I can't say this strong enough. Even if you have builders that are on ER or subscribe to Save, still invite them. Okay. Because what you want is to say, hey, this topic looks like something you might want to teach. Like if I saw, I don't know, an athlete's one and Allison was new, I know she's an athlete. So I can, even though if she's a builder, I'd be like, Allison, this would be a really good class for you to teach in person. You should watch this athlete's class and invite your athlete's friend to do it in person. So like be thinking of not just, oh, that's a cool topic. Be thinking, hey, who on my team that's a brand partner, or even not, and might transition someday, or that you could teach for them. But be thinking, who can I relate this to in this? Watch it, teach it yourself. Like Tracy said, there are so many videos recorded that you guys can watch again, and you can just watch, regurgitate. Throw your own stories in, throw your own personality in. But like she said, I could do a one-on-one blindfolded because I've done so many. And a lot of you can do all this stuff just from watching and then taking what you want and stuff like that. So use these not only as a tool for educating your team, but educating yourself and your brand partners on how to teach, or even just the information. You can totally be like, I didn't like how she did that. Didn't love that recipe. I'm going to take that one out and swap one in. It's your business, but teach yourself how to teach by watching people teach.
That was so good, Chelsea. That is exactly how all of us had learned. We watched someone else do it, and then we taught it, and then we continued that on. And I will tell you, every time I teach a class, I will learn something new, or I might, tweak something just a little bit because I had learned that that's going to get better results. So again, gatherdwell.com, you'll see links, right, for how to host your own class. You could actually watch a sample class that we've taught. Many of these classes are years old. They're still relevant today. I'm telling you, it's the same format that works. It's amazing. So hopefully you'll get out there and check that out. But wanted to see, did anyone have questions? We're running a little bit late, but this was such a good topic. Do you guys have questions? Type in the comment box or feel free to unmute yourself. This is the time to ask.
Sorry, we're late. It's always my fault.
But it's such good content. Everybody stayed on because they want to hear from you. They could listen to you all night. Anyone have questions? Just to make you feel better, we all had fears. We all were nervous. We've all had no-shows. We've all messed up during a class. And I hope you all understand this is not about perfection. This is not about like the perfect spread and the perfect invite and the perfect anything. I will tell you, some of our best enrollers were with moms with babes in arms, changing poopy diapers in the middle of the class, or Hot Mess Express with toddlers running around in the background. You know what that is? It's real life. And I will tell you, when it's too perfect, do you know what that other person's thinking? I can't do it. It's too good. But when they're seeing Hot Mess Express, they're like, dude, I could totally do this. I can do this too. Not only am I going to make 200, I'm going to make 1,000 during this weekend because I can do that. So when you, right, incorporate that sort of real life element, you're showing other people it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be when the kids are in bed. It doesn't have to be when the house is clean. That's another thing that I hear all the time. I have to clean my house. I can't have the kids at home. I don't have a perfect spread to put out. Like, these are all just kind of excuses to keep you from doing it. We've had people literally serve nothing, have kids with poopy diapers running around, right? And it's like the kids are yelling in the background and they've signed up a whole room. Okay, so just telling you, real life is what gets people, right, excited and engaged, because they just see she doesn't have all her shit together all the time. This is good. I can relate to her, but you know what? I trust her. Sometimes that facade of perfection, right, makes people really doubt whether it's real. Does that make sense? Do you notice this even on social media? You're like, oh my gosh, it's so perfect. It's not real. But you see someone else and you see a friend who's like, oh my goodness, there's stuff going on, Hot Mess Express. You relate, but you also know it's real. So when you're sharing those real testimonials, right, that's what's really important. So hopefully that will encourage you guys to get out there and do it. Just do it. Stop with the excuses, book a time this month, go do it. And like Chelsea said, don't wait. Like, you know, the end of summer when the kids are back in school, do it now. Invite to this class that we're doing on the 17th, the Summertime Favorites. Also book your own, book a couple, right? Because here's the thing. If you just book one class in a month, what if someone can't make it? What if 10 people can't make it? So you're going to wait to enroll them until next month. No, when you've got several classes going on, then they've got lots of options. So keep the options open. All right, Chelsea, anything else to add before we go? Okay, you guys, that was amazing. We're going to have the replay up in just a little bit. Huge thank you to Chelsea for sharing her heart, for sharing her tips. She is amazing. We love her so much. Thanks to all of you for being here. I know it's late, especially for our East Coast brand partners. You're phenomenal. We'll have the link up in just a little bit. Go check out our resources, gatherdwell.com. I know we've got other resources in our Facebook groups as well. If you need any help, let us know. We would be happy to help you teach a class. Let us know and reach out, okay? All right, you guys, have a good night.